Hey, so today we're going to talk about different energy resources, and you have to know a bunch of them. You have to know which ones are renewable and non-renewable, and you have to know some advantages and disadvantages of each. So let's get started. We're going to go through this really fast. So fossil fuels, by now you should know there are three types of fossil fuels. They are, depending on the state, they are coal, which is a solid, oil, which is a liquid, and natural gas, which is the gas form of fossil fuels. Are they renewable? First of all, let's find out what renewable is. Renewable means that we will never run out. So, for example, fossil fuels are not renewable. Not renewable because when we take a liter of oil out of the ground and we burn it, it's gone. The planet has 1 liter less of oil in it. We're not getting any more. However, if you think of wind energy with those propellers, well, we expect the wind to last for quite a while longer, we hope. So wind is renewable. It's not going to run out. Okay, so let's continue. Do fossil fuels produce greenhouse gases? Yeah, fossil fuels produce CO2. So yes, this is a bad thing. And advantages and disadvantages. Fossil fuels are cheap, which is pretty much the main advantage, which is why we use it. So I'll write a little plus here. Disadvantages, not renewable. It emits greenhouse gases. There's also other air pollution, which is bad when we breathe it. Yeah, so that's fossil fuels. Moving on, nuclear. Nuclear, you know this if you've ever watched The Simpsons. There's a kind of a building that that's a bad job. Here we go. Kind of looks like that. Humongous though in real life. Nuclear, we mine plutonium to get nuclear energy. We break the atoms, and that's not a chemical reaction. That's a nuclear reaction. And from that we get heat. And as mundane as it seems, we actually use nuclear power to heat water, just like a steam engine does. So a fancy nuclear power plant just takes plutonium, breaks up the atoms, creates a lot of heat, boils some water, which turns a turbine and provides us with electricity. So is it renewable? Well, we're probably not going to run out of plutonium, but technically, no, it is not renewable. Does it make greenhouse gases? Well, actually, a nuclear power plant does not burn stuff. It's breaking atoms. So it's not combustion. It doesn't produce CO2. So it does not make greenhouse gases. That's a positive thing, right? That's a good thing. And moving on, advantages, disadvantages. I'm going to write EB anytime something is expensive to build. Nuclear power plants are ridiculously expensive to build. So expensive to build, that's very much a negative. Also, another negative, we end up with radioactive waste, which stays dangerous for a long, long time, and we don't really know what to do with. We're talking about hundreds or thousands of years. Some advantages, it's reliable, meaning we can have that providing electricity day or night. Okay, yeah, and I think that's about it. We also use a lot of water from rivers to cool the nuclear power plants, so when they dump that hot water back in the rivers, it's not good for marine life and fish and stuff. So that's a disadvantage too, although I'm not going to write it down. Geothermal. Geothermal energy is when we take some water, we pump it down deep into the earth. The core of the earth is very hot, so as you go deeper, that water will get hot, and then we just pump it back up. Once it's built, it's actually really cheap because you're just pumping cold water and then bringing it back up. You don't have to use practically any energy at all. Okay, so let's draw that. Where's my marker here? There we go. So geothermal, we take some cold water, we pump it deep down to the earth. The earth, we suck some of that heat from the earth and bringing it up warm. So let's look at that. Is it renewable? We're taking heat from the earth, but there's so much heat there. I'm going to say yes, it's renewable. We don't expect the earth to cool down anytime soon, no matter how much we do this. Greenhouse gases. No greenhouse gases produced. That's great. And advantages and disadvantages of geothermal. Well, disadvantage, it can be expensive to build. Okay. The other big disadvantage is we can't do it everywhere. Okay. Only in certain places. Typically, we can do it in places that have volcanoes nearby or earthquakes, places with seismic activity. That's where we're going to find hot heat below the surface nearby, not too deep. Wind energy. You've seen windmills. That's my fancy drawing of a windmill. And nice clean energy. Okay. Is it renewable? Yes. As I was saying earlier, I expect to have some wind next week also. Well, not me, but the planet will hopefully continue to have wind. Then, does it make greenhouse gases? No. That's a positive thing. It's expensive to build, typically because you need lots of turbines to actually make enough energy. One turbine isn't going to supply a city, so you have to build a lot of them. And another disadvantage, big disadvantage, which maybe you didn't think about, it's not reliable. If we've got wind, we have energy. But if it's not windy, well, you're out of luck. Okay, and typically we don't really have the technology to have batteries that can store the electricity for something like a city. It would be crazy expensive. So you can't count on it if there's no wind. Similar to solar energy, yes, it's renewable. No greenhouse gases, nice clean energy. And same thing, expensive to build, not reliable. If it's not sunny, we're out of luck. So, whoops, I put wind twice. Here we go. Tides. Tides and waves are very similar. Tides consist of the motion of the ocean water because the moon is pulling on it. Waves are more due to wind and such. Either way, is it renewable? Yes. I expect the ocean to keep moving, we hope. Does it release greenhouse gases? No. That's a good thing. And expensive to build, that's unfortunate. And actually, it is actually quite reliable, okay? Well, like tides are very consistent. And wind, we have windier days and not, but in general, we expect waves to keep happening, especially in open seas where they would put this type of technology. Now, the interesting thing is, this stuff, the fossil fuels are cheap. That's what we use now for our cars, our planes, even our cities. A lot of coal plants. But if you look at it, there's lots of green technologies out there. Why aren't we using these? Well, because it's expensive. They take up space on land. There's a few other disadvantages. For example, they can affect wildlife. Unfortunately, windmills kill a lot of birds. And, big machines in the ocean or in rivers can affect wildlife too. That's a disadvantage I didn't write. But here you have a basic overall view of what our energy resources are. So hope that helps. Be good. Vote for someone that promotes clean energy. We don't want to die from global warming. See ya.